Hi, I'm Elise Bowman. I play Pan on Dragon Ball GT, and with me is Robert McDonald's.
Hey, I'm Robert McCollum. I'm the voice of Teen Goten on Dragon Ball GT, as well as Stain in My Hero Academia, Reiner on Attack on Titan, Doflamingo in One Piece.
This Badger.
Yeah.
And this Gopher.
Jalal.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Elise, your
voice is sexy.
You're looking great. I haven't seen you in a while.
Thank you so much. You're
changed
looking rather
a lot.
attractive yourself.
You changed a lot,
I think
but you're still.
I love that. What is this material?
Still keeping it together.
Yeah. Okay. We wanted to talk about hand sanitizers at conventions. Mr. Robert
Yes.
He carries at least two of sanitizers.
One is left hand, one is right hand.
Right, because if you just put left-handed sanitizer in your right hand, it doesn't like prevent all the germs. I think you can still get that Chinese thing.
Speaking of, are you feeling okay?
No, I don't feel right. I don't feel right. As a matter of fact, I feel like casting a spell and transforming.
Oh.
You ready? Here goes.
Oh, that's better.
I feel like myself again.
You were just looking, I didn't know if it was coronavirus or what, but it was a little odd. It was just something off.
I felt, I don't know, I felt a little different. It was kind of weird.
I mean, you always look great no matter how you look, but I feel like this is better.
This I feel
feels
like
more
myself.
like you.
Yeah. So
Hey, we should tell people what the show is.
Oh, the show. Yeah, this is Anime Adventures.
This is Anime Adventures.
Yes, we're so glad you're here. Welcome. And I think we'll go to like a fancy graphic and then come back and talk to Robert McCollum.
That's me.
That's him.
Wow, that was fancy.
That was
fancy.
fancy,
That was a really
wasn't
fancy
it?
graphic.
Thank you. So it's so good to talk to you. Robert and I have known each other for a long time.
Really long time.
Yes, like
maybe,
200 years
maybe
or
20
something.
Years.
I don't know. Maybe
like
a long time.
18, 20 years.
We've done.
She was 5 when we met.
Yes,
clearly.
Thank you. Clearly. Yeah, we've done short films. We've done.
Lots of
writing,
corporate training videos.
Yes.
I feel like probably some JCPenney
training,
employee training. Yeah.
Lots of stuff. And that's not what we're here to talk about, though. We're going to talk about your characters. And we're at My Hero Con, the Plus Ultra Expo. I can't spit it out. Plus Ultra Expo
right here in Plano, Texas.
Right here in Plano, Texas. So let's start by talking My Hero.
Yes. So this is Stain.
Yes.
And Stain is a villain. Or not. Is he? I don't know. You be the judge. He's only in a few episodes, but he is actually kind of really important to the entire arc of the show.
Kind of.
It gets a lot darker and a lot more intense and starts to deal with a lot more issues after Stain arrives, even after he is, no spoilers, but eliminated from the scene. The world post-Stain that they all inhabit is a lot more serious and kind of a darker and less safe place. Because in the beginning it's all like, hey, we're going to be heroes, we're going to strive, we're going to win, and it's kind of that kind of show. And then when Stain arrives, everything goes like, oh, but are we? And who's a good guy and who's really a bad guy? So I think it's an interesting character.
Yeah, very interesting character. And how were you, I mean, this is a huge show, obviously. I don't have to tell you that or you that. So how has it been being part of My Hero Academia?
Well, it was interesting because, like I said, it's a small role in terms of the number of lines. Colleen called me in and said, hey, I want you to try this out. I'm just going to throw you in the booth and try it, and then if it works and flies, we'll use that. But just let's go ahead and do a session. So I went in, and I think the first show he's in, he just makes a sound while sitting on a rooftop and just kind of goes... And that was it. She's like, no, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. I'm like, okay. So then that's what I had to base the whole rest of the character off of. Like every other show was like, remember that one sound you made? Here, let me play it back for you. Do that again.
Really?
And I didn't realize what a big deal this character was. Because a lot of time we get called in for shows all the time and like, oh, you're going to do 2 days, 3 days on this, tops, 3 sessions, and then it'll be done. But I didn't realize what a fan favorite Stain was. Like in Japan and as well as in the United States, the fan art, the impact that this character had. So you kind of sometimes you get into things and you're like, I know this is going to be really huge, and other times it's like, oh, I had no idea what I was walking into.
Yeah.
This is a really huge deal.
That's really cool to not even know. I love that you just made the sound and then
You have to
based the rest of it.
To get really close to the microphone to do Stain because he's right down here.
Oh, okay. So how was that sound?
Yeah, that's good. No,
Okay.
just put some. He also licks a lot, so you have to figure out how to make a licking sound. Like there's a lot of like with the tongue out kind of sound. It's not attractive.
I'd love to see a session.
We have to wipe down the pop screen, like dip it in Listerine.
Ew. Well, let's talk about some other characters, unless you have something else deep and something juicy that we need to know about My Hero, about Stain, without giving anything away.
Okay, I will say I've told this story before at cons, but as you said, this is a
You may
gateway.
not have- yeah.
This is a gateway for people that don't always get to come to conventions. So this may be a story, but there's a lot of parallels between Stain and one of the first bad guy characters I ever got to play years and years and years ago in a show called Yu Yu Hakusho in season 3. The first time I ever got to play a bad guy was bad guy called Sensui, Shinobu Sensui, who was super powerful and siding with demons and made out to be kind of the bad guy of this Black Club story arc. And then you find out that he is, clearly a murderer and doing horrible things, but has a really strong moral compass, has a real reason why he thinks what he's doing is right, why the people that he is doing bad things to need to be punished, and brings into question their humanity, not his. And in a it's very similar to some of Stain's arcs of like, I'm the bad guy here, but are you really the good guy? It's that same kind of question. So it's interesting 15 years later to come all the way back around to a very similar character.
That's interesting to kind of come full circle.
And Sensui was my favorite because it's the first bad guy I ever got to play. I was all just doing the young heroes, the teen Goten. Okay, we can do it. It's gonna be great. Come on, guys, pull together.
Yeah.
And finally got to do a bad guy, which I'd wanted to do forever. Maybe my voice just dropped low enough. That may have been part of the thing. But realizing like, the bad guys are way more powerful. They don't have to work nearly as hard.
Oh.
Like the heroes are all like, ah, and the bad guys are like, ugh. And they can make a building fall down or whatever. Like, that's cool. Because the really powerful bad guys only have to exert themselves when things have gone horribly wrong, which is usually their last or next to last moment on the planet. The rest of the time, they're super cool and in control. So you don't have to yell,
That's
you don't have to scream,
interesting.
you don't fry your voice. You just kind of talk gravelly and threaten people.
Oh, that's right. I'm killing you. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Like that's so much easier than being a young hero and like wielding things and yelling.
Yeah. That's an interesting take, because I never booked the bad girl, like the evil person.
Oh, clearly people don't know you well.
The truth comes out. So do you like playing the evil characters
Now,
better,
yes, I
or-
full on love the bad guys now. And it's weird because sometimes, like, I got cast in a show called Black Clover, which is a big deal now. And I got to play Julius the Wizard King, who is purely a good guy. And the director, Chris, was like, I wanted to hear you as a good guy for a change. And I forget that, like, a whole generation of directors now only thinks of me as the big bad guy.
Interesting.
As opposed to, for a long time, I was only the good guy. It's just like people
What a
know you what
shift.
they see you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of your other characters.
All right. There's a show called Dragon Ball GT. Some
You know what?
people
I've
care
heard of
about
it.
It's a big
weird.
deal to some people.
Some people.
It basically starts when a ship gets inadvertently launched off of the planet Earth, which kind of sets everything into motion. And there's one key character when trying to get a date that accidentally launches that ship. So really the whole show is my fault.
It's about you?
Even though he's left on Earth and is therefore not involved in anything else forever for a really long time. But yeah,
great.
it's only teen Goten. I tell people I'm Goten and they get all excited. I'm like, oh no, that's Kara Edwards. That's not. It's not. That's young Goten. I'm the older, dorky Goten. Still, it was lovely to be in. I did get to do some early Dragon Ball stuff.
Did you?
And little random characters here and there, and then some of the Dragon Ball movies. I think I was a priest named Meloja that just went, "Oh, great leader! Please revert." That's all I remember from Meloja. But it's weird when you've been doing this as long as kind of we have. Like, you've been in everything somewhere, even if it's just like man number 4 or soldier number 5. Almost any title we've been in at some point in time.
Walla, you name it, we've done it. Yes. It's
I would
kinda
love to
fun.
just do a whole bio of just my one line, like man 4, person in crowd, scared
Soldier number
scared
17.
man on train. Could be great, and just cut a reel together of all of
That would
those
be
back to
awesome.
back.
Like one guy who just goes, ah!
And the Oscar goes to...
Her
That's a
girl, like I've
specialist,
done-
yeah.
It is. It's a talent.
I'm a crowd in terror specialist. That's my niche.
So how did you get into this? I have known you, but I don't think I know the story.
Well, I was doing improv comedy in Dallas.
Yes,
In the
same.
90s, the dark ages, the early days.
90s.
When Funimation was just coming into Dallas. And Mike McFarlane, who was also doing improv at the time, is like, hey, we need people. And I was doing a lot of commercial voiceover at that time. He's like, we really need people. Can you come out? It's this tiny studio above a bank in far North Richland Hills. And I'm like, okay, sounds really seedy, but sure. And went up and like didn't know what was going on, didn't know that anime happened in North Texas because at that time it was new. And they're like, yeah, just come be a guy, be this guy. And then you shut up the building, and then other people would be like, hey, who's here? Okay, yeah, come in here, be this guy on this thing. There was no auditioning, there was no like, now you submit and hope and it gets approved by Japan. Literally then it was like, oh, you're in the building, great, you're gonna be this character.
Yeah.
Who's this character? I don't know either, but let's go. Now it's a very involved process, but that's why it started, and that's why now, 20 years later, I have what is on that list.
Oh, he's got a
250
gazillion. He's got a list.
I haven't
Like,
haven't
oh wait, and there's
counted-
another page
counted them.
somewhere. Yeah.
the P. Oh, this ends at R. Yeah, there's another page.
He's got
anyway,
another page somewhere.
there's-
It's like a gazillion.
There's several of them, but
Yes.
it's and some of them were huge, and some of them were things that no one remembers. Legend of the Galactic Heroes. As
Here's-
Carl Gustav Kemp. I'm sure that was a huge and impactful role.
Here's Father, one episode. Merchant,
Yes.
one episode. But like, what an amazing list! And you can look it up behind the voice actors, Anime News Network, IMDb. But
They're
how
all there.
fun! Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And it's also crazy that, like, of course, big shows like Psycho-Pass and things that I got leads in, like, oh, people are going to know that and recognize that. But the random thing is that people come up with obscure DVDs that you don't even remember doing, and they're like, this is my favorite show of all time, and I love your character. It's so
really?
great. Yeah, to realize, like, oh, that thing that you did in 2004 really made a difference to somebody. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool. And that brings up a good question. What is the most memorable thing, if you can think of something, an experience that you've had at a con like that, where somebody said, oh, I've got this random DVD, or here's where it made a difference, or some kind of interaction that you've had at a convention that you just loved?
Well, I had said on some interviews and panels like this, and
Yeah.
on some like internet radio podcast kind of things, that like, oh, nobody ever remembers the show Baki the Grappler, and I was Baki the Grappler. It was the first like titular role I ever had.
Yeah.
And I thought this is gonna be huge, and then it wasn't huge, and no one ever watched it, no one knew it. And I was like, I always was sad that didn't turn into it. And somebody heard that and went and found a Baki the Grappler box set.
Oh, they did.
Specifically, not even because they liked it, so that they could bring it to me and go, look, somebody finally brought it, and I got to sign a thing, which I
that's
thought was really
awesome.
sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Almost to a person, everyone that comes up to the table is super sweet and just loves the fact that we're involved in the thing that they love.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's such a great community, this anime world. Well, let's talk about some more anime characters, because we've got such a great little variety.
This is Jalal, who's from Fairy Tail. I don't know how the autofocus works on that.
I don't know.
Anyway.
It's truly autofocus because I have no people. So we'll see how my camera does.
There's a giant crew. There's
like
audio grip and the lighting and a Best
Yeah.
Boy. It's a big.
It's-
She's got an RV that she travels around in for this
Totally,
show. It's pretty
yes.
amazing. The craft service is really
Awesome.
good.
yes.
Lobster Thermidor is really outstanding.
and he's acting.
No, But she did have some pistachios, which I thought was classy.
Like at least two.
No, Fairy Tale is another show that I kind of didn't know how huge it was going to be, and got to be this character, and then it turned into a really huge deal. The fun story on that was that the director, Chris Bevins at the time, was like really clear, and it's changed directors over the years because it's been going on forever.
Which is awesome.
But he was first and was like, hey, don't read. Don't read the manga, don't look ahead, don't watch ahead. I want you to be
like in the moment?
totally blind and in the moment and only knowing what you know at that point in the story. And I'm casting you to play two characters. And they look similar, but they're different. They're actually brothers, is what he told me. Seagrain and Jalal. If you haven't watched Fairy Tale, fast forward 30 seconds.
Okay.
Because I'm about to do a spoiler.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
Seagrain and Jalal are the same person. Seagrain is just a projection of Jalal. But he wanted me to do different characterizations and didn't want me to know they were the same person. So he lied to me, told me they were completely different. And then there was a third one, Mystigan, which is another projection on another plane of existence. They're all three the same person. He told me they were all three different people, that he wanted completely different voices, completely different characterizations. And so then when the moment reveal comes in the show, that they realize they morphs, and you realize, oh, it's all one person. I was like, oh my god! So I had the a genuine moment with it. It was really cool.
That is so
I was always
cool.
thankful that he gave me that gift of not looking ahead.
I love that. I love little morsels like that when directors fool you. But how smart of Chris Bevins.
He's very savvy. He's very savvy.
I love him. Wow. Well, let's cover one more character, and then I'll come up with some secret question.
Let's see.
Yes.
Don Quixote do Flamingo.
Yes.
One of the original bad guy pirates of the One Piece saga that never ends. We're now, I think, in the 700s we're doing it.
That's so
and this was
crazy.
another one that I'd done another character called Chaka, and they said, hey, we want you to do Doflamingo, and he's not in it, again, not in it that much. He's only in it a few times. And then a year later, he's in it a little more. And then 2 years later, hey, we got another bit. We got 10 episodes. And then I think it's done. And then 2 years later, another 5 episodes. Now I'm in a big arc. Doflamingo is back and causing lots of problems for Law and the Straw Hats. But no spoilers. But you've probably read the manga. You know. But yeah, so another big arc. So it's just one of those kind of gifts that keeps on giving. You have no idea. And then all of a sudden, he's back.
Boom, he's back. I love it. Well, what's your favorite thing about this anime world? Either about voice acting or just being part of the convention world or meeting anime fans? Like, it's such a cool little world to be part of.
It is a world that I didn't know a lot about, even as a voice actor before I started coming to conventions, and I don't have the ability to go to very many conventions. I maybe do one a year.
Because you're a busy guy.
I do
you
other
a lot
things,
of other things.
other things in the world, but I'm hoping to start be able to come to some more things. But the thing I love most about this kind of universe, this environment, is that I call it nerd prom in the best way, meaning that it is a great time to come out and be like your best self in a place where everybody is accepting of that. Like you come in and maybe, I mean, we're all nerds and maybe the rest of the world doesn't care what we care about, but you can come into a con for one weekend and people get it. They care about it as much as you do. And even if it's not their show, if they're like, oh, that's a replica sword that you just spent all this time with duct tape and cardboard tape making, I totally respect that.
Yes.
Like, you can be cool here because people understand you and your world in a way that the outside world kind of doesn't. And I love that this is a safe environment for that. For just being a fan.
Well said. Yeah.
So much cynicism in the world of like, oh, you like that thing? You're stupid. For whatever. Liking something is now a reason to be shamed in the world now. And like, no, just come here and actually love the thing that you love, and no one's gonna make fun of you for loving that. Or,
Everybody gets it.
yeah, they're like, yeah, we love it too. It's cool. That's the thing I love about this.
I do too. Okay, one last question. Tell us something non-anime related that we may not know about you. What you do outside the anime world. Because you are like director, producer, Jack of all trades.
I do lots of corporate training videos. If you have sat through an IT security comedy It is possible that I was responsible for writing or shooting that. I have now gotten into history podcast making, which I'm
I
really
knew
interested
that.
in. Yes. So I'll do a plug here.
Here's a little trivia. The person, Derek Behrens, who edited like the first, 22 or 24 videos of mine, is editing some of your podcasts.
1865. He works for Airship.
Yes, it
Yes.
is a small world. So do a little plug.
Oh, so this brilliant playwright from Dallas who now lives in LA named Stephen Walters, who also wrote a lot of scripts for Funimation over the years, wrote this play that we then expanded into a 15-episode historical fiction, fully produced drama podcast, like sound design, music, the whole thing. It sounds like you're listening to a movie, but it's about the events after the aftermath of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So 1865 forward, leading up to the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. Oh, that's weird. We're talking a lot about that these days in the news. It was weird. We started this thing a year and a half ago and thought, well, no one knows anything about the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. And now they talked about it on the news every day for the last 3 months. So timely to say the least, but really great performances. A lot of anime voices. Jeremy Schwartz is in that. Michael Tatum is in that. Our Bruce Elliott is amazing as Andrew Johnson. So some voices that you anime fans know, probably people that you've had on your show.
Probably so. I have.
Are
Yes.
really good,
Two
and
of
it
those.
really paints a picture of history that I knew very little about and was really fascinated by. So, one other final factoid that I
Yes,
just remembered.
I would
This is
love
a good
it.
one.
Yes.
So, before the new Funimation pre-show logo started, that is all the different sounds and gizmos and widget sounds, there was a whisper, and it just said, "Funimation, you should be watching." That was my voice.
Was that you?
So when people used to ask, what Funimation videos do you do? I could say, I'm in all of them.
All of this.
So that is my final. My name is Rob McCollum.
You should be watching.